Welcome to Fall, Rise, Give, where we explore life's ups and downs through the lens of a mainstream drunk's design for living. Join us as we navigate the twists and turns of life, sharing stories of resilience, hope, and the power of giving back. Whether you're sober curious, in recovery, or simply seeking inspiration, this podcast is your go-to for real talk, raw emotion, and a whole lot of heart. Tune in and discover how to fall, rise, and give back in life's extraordinary journey. Can't believe we're already on number 4. I'm Bartender Bob. That's Kumar. We are Fall, Rise, Give. Actually, Kumar, I'd like to thank you for having me be a part of this with you. It's the journey so far has been a fun one, and it's kind of crazy to think that we grew up together. We didn't talk to each other for a long time. Here we are, many, many years later. We've kind of taken different paths in life, and yet we're kind of falling back, and we're connecting again, which I think is so cool.
Yep. It's kind of like destiny, right? It's kind of what's meant to be, and you never know. I grew up in Minnesota as we met. That's where we met. I ended up in Seattle, and through Facebook and through social media, we connected again, and pretty exciting stuff. Love having you on here, and we're just getting started, Bob.
All right. Well, hey, our podcast is called Fall, Rise, Give. We've had a chance to kind of go over the premise of it the last couple of podcasts, which has been great. Let's talk about purpose. Let's talk about goals. Let's talk about, achieving something today.
Yeah, that's the rising part of the book and the podcast, right? It's fall, rise, and give. We talked about falling a little bit and talked about rising in the last one. People always ask, and I was listening to a podcast, and just this morning, and this guy popped up and he asked this sage, it's like, hey, do you believe in faith and purpose and destiny? And I think people often ask, what's my purpose in life? What's my destiny? And I think that's a back of the mind question that's always with us. Maybe at a young age, you wanted to be a pilot, or you wanted to be a business executive, CEO, or you wanted to be a Marine or whatever, an artist. I think that's a question in the back of our minds, and I think it's a tough one. It's not an easy one to get a hold of. So I think to get there, it can take a lifetime. It can take years to do it. But I think what's at hand at first is like, where am I at today, and what's my goal? What's my goal right now? Maybe it's just to feed the family and provide for myself, feed myself, and then you start out with a Maslow's hierarchy of needs, basic needs met. And then the fifth step is, self-actualization, self-realization, things like that. So purpose is a big question. We'll talk more about that, but I think it's all about immediate goals and immediate purpose. You might have a purpose for the next couple of years. You may be working in a dead-end job, and how do I get to the next level? And so, that's a big question. I don't necessarily have all the answers, but I think I have some insights into kind of what's helped me get there.
Kumar, what did you want to be when you grew up? I mean, when you were a kid, when you're a teenager sitting up in Minnesota, you're like, what? I really want to be a blank. What was it that you wanted to do?
Yeah, I think we talked about this. My buddy Dan Riley and Ken wanted to be an author, wanted to be a business person, wanted to be an entrepreneur. I definitely wanted to be an entrepreneur. And then at some point, I wanted to take my experiences and then to be able to help inspire people and motivate people. And that's kind of why we're here. I think I figured out what I wanted to do. It's taken me 55 years to figure that out and a path to get there. So I think it's have a business opportunity, have some sort of financial success, and then from there to be able to help other people get to where they want to go. I'm not necessarily sure I want to help other people make millions of dollars. I'm not a guru in that respect, but I think there is a path to a goal, whatever goal that you have. And maybe it is to be a millionaire. And in that case, you're going to have to figure that out and how to get there. But I think there are certain tools, there are certain methodologies, certain ways that you have to learn to read and figure out what your desire is, have the ability to have faith that you're going to get it, and then come up with a plan. And that plan has to be centered around your whole being. what I call the mind, body, soul connection. So you're gonna have to figure that out. Yeah.
So, all right. So, a lot of times people have a hard time figuring things out or figuring out what's step number one, what step number two, et cetera, et cetera. What are the basic steps that somebody could take in order to, to help them to achieve that goal or to help them, realize the dream that they have?
Awesome. I think let's start with that first question. You have a dream. You have a particular thing that's nudging you. Let's say you want to be a musician, and being a musician requires you to be a master of your craft. Maybe let's say you want to be a guitarist. And so from that perspective, that dream that you have, I think what you're going to have to first do is, understand what is it that you want. Let's say it's being a musician, and then figuring out, okay, why do I want to be that musician? Is it the feeling that I get when I play the music? Or do I just want to be really popular and be famous and be a rock star to get that lifestyle? I think the key is really figuring out, do you love being a musician? Do you love the art and craft of making music? Is that what's nudging you? Have you been playing an instrument for a long time and have you experienced that feeling? And so it all starts on, what is it that you want? Writing that down, thinking about it for a long time. Why do you want it? And then do you have some experience in that particular area? Do you really know why you like it? So I think the key is to figure out what is it that you want and spending a ton of time figuring out why you want it.
Did you say spend a ton of time figuring it out?
Yeah, spend a ton of time thinking about it, writing it down, feeling being a musician, what it's like, playing music in the case of being a musician, and spending a ton of time. It's your destiny and your dream. You can have an immediate desire to attract a partner, maybe be a rock star in your particular neighborhood or your city for fame or whatever. But I think you really got to understand is that, why do you want to be a musician? Why do you want to be an author? Why do you want to be a business executive? And to be able to get there, once you figure out why, and do you actually like the process of becoming that? Once you understand the process of becoming that, it's going to require work. Malcolm Gladwell wrote a book on key to success in so many ways. And he says you have to spend 10,000 hours developing your craft. And so are you willing to commit for years and years of practice to develop your craft? Mm-hmm. That's what it takes to be successful at whatever field you're in.
Have you ever been laid off? You ever lost your job?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Multiple times.
So it's funny. I was a talk radio personality for a lot of years. And I got laid off in 2008, and then again in 2018. So two different radio companies that I worked for. 2018, I thought to myself, you know what, I'm done doing radio. I don't want to do radio anymore. I was kind of in a downward spiral, and I have a cabin in Ferryville, Wisconsin. I basically told my ex-wife at the time, I said that, hey, I'm just going to go hang out at the cabin for a couple of weeks and I did basically what you just said, thought a lot about what it is that I wanted to do and set up some goals. And I did a lot of just throwing a lot of junk up against the wall and seeing if anything would stick. And that's how I came up with Podcast for Hire. I thought, you know what, I really enjoy talking to people. I really enjoy interviewing people. I enjoy helping businesses. I enjoy the marketing side of stuff. And that's basically how I came up with my whole idea. And a lot of it is basically what you just said, sit down, spend a lot of hours trying to figure something out, and then actually putting that, pen to paper and, starting that 10,000 hour journey to make something happen.
And here you are, rocking it on the podcast on Fall, Rise, and Give. That's what it's taken. You're an expert in your field. And because you're an expert in your field, I am an expert in my field of professional development, in the sense that I've gone in and been an entrepreneur. I've been successful at it. I've fallen a bunch of times, so an expert at falling, expert at rising. Like I said, I've risen after multiple layoffs and things like that. And so I am good at what I do. And then I'm also been able to give back to charities and been able to give back to humanity in so many ways, but I want to give more. And that's why we're here, giving more. So for me, aligning my purpose really came about in the last few months. It's been a story, since childhood, like I mentioned, that little dream of wanting to be an author and a speaker and going out and helping people. But really, it came out crystal clear in the last few months when I realized, oh, what's holding me back? I've written my goals. I have gone after my goals. Maybe I didn't achieve them. What was blocking me? And so what was blocking me was alcohol. And so I think a lot of people are blocked by alcohol. So I hate to bring that back again, but in our target market and the people that we're trying to reach, Kumar, the mainstream drunk, is out there trying to help you figure out what are the blockers to helping you achieve your goals.
Right.
And alcohol can stop you from spending a lot of energy on yourself. You end up not thinking clearly. You end up not spending time writing your goals, pondering over them. We talked about the mind, body, soul connection. Let's talk about that a little bit. You need to spend time in a rational world in your mind, right? You need to be able to, we live with our both feet. We got to provide for our family, provide for ourselves, have a roof on top of our head. And then there's the body. We got to take care of our body because once we get sick, everything else goes towards that. And then there's the spirit realm or the soul or the universal force that drives us, the deep down inside, that intuition that really is kind of our life force. And so all of those have to be in line. We can write down our goals. We can exercise on the mind side, but we have to get in touch with that deep insight, that deep intuition, that deep spirit, that soul. And I think the only way to get there is what we're going to talk about a little bit next, is through developing a calm spirit and through meditation and prayer and things like that. So I think you're going to ask me a question next.
Well, I want to ask if a lot of this deals with loving yourself and having a good positive mental image on yourself, because the way that I understand it from what you're saying is that in order to achieve some of those types of goals is that you have to, first of all, love yourself, or at least like yourself, to start things going. And then once you love yourself, you're going to be able to put that next piece of puzzle into the mix in order to get everything built the way you need it to get built.
Exactly. I think we talked last time about telling billionaires to F off.
Yes.
That was an example of self-worth and self-esteem, right? I had enough self-esteem to say, look, you're not giving me what I need and what I want. I was clear on what I needed at a spiritual level, physical level, and a rational level. And I was clear that what they were giving me was not enough to what they were taking from me. And so for me, it's all about self-esteem and self-worth. But those things are not enough even. It starts with there. Most of us don't even know how to do self-love. We have all sorts of baggage and garbage, especially when we talk about people who drink a lot to numb their pain or their problems. We all have problems in our relationships, in our career, in our health, and all those areas. We can numb the pain through drinking, or we can say, okay, I'm feeling this emotion. What can I do about it? Or I'm feeling this ailment in my body. How can I deal with this? And so you get self-esteem by loving yourself unconditionally. To get to that spot of an emotional state, saying, okay, I get angry and I have a lot of resentment towards lots of different things. That's not who I am. I am not an angry person. I may have anger as an emotion that's showing up for me, but I don't want to beat myself over my anger issues. Mm-hmm. What I want to do is deep down look at saying, what's the emotion? Maybe I'm resenting the fact that I'm in this relationship that isn't working for me. Maybe I'm in the situation that at a job that isn't giving me what I need. So self-esteem starts out with accepting things as they are today and understanding that you can only control what you can control, and accepting the fact that things outside of your control are kind of there for the universe to take care of itself, but you need to focus on just the things that you can control. And once you accept certain things and you start developing that self-esteem, self-love, self-worth, it takes time.
You mentioned the word relationship, and then you said relationship work, and the word relationship can be a broad word. I mean, because relationship could mean work, it could mean your relationship with alcohol, it could be in your relationship with your spouse, with your kids, with your friends, with your with your car, yeah, with your job. There's so many different things that the word relationship can add, can be a part of.
Yeah, I think what you mentioned was the relationship with yourself.
I did mention the
That's
relationship with myself. Yeah. But then
right. I think that's the key.
yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the key. You need to develop a relationship with yourself. How are you going to do that? What is your real self? We talked about the soul, right? Is it the soul? Are you emotions in your mind? Are you a left brain rational mind if you happen to be left brain dominant? Are you the creative right brain mind? Are you just your body? You spend time at the gym and you admire yourself because you're super fit. Is that a way that you're masking something else in deep down inside because you just want to look externally beautiful? That's fine. You should be fit and you should be able to do that. But are you masking something else? Is there something else deep down inside that you really want to have self-love? Is self-love really just physically being beautiful? Or is it being fit and healthy and I like myself for who I am in all areas of myself, which could be career, recreational, friend relationships, spiritualness, all of those things. Physical is definitely an important part of your body. You should care about that because once that goes, everything else goes. So developing that self relationship, again, it takes time, it takes prayer, it takes meditation, it takes reading, it takes writing to a certain degree. I'm not telling you should write hours and hours, but maybe journaling helps people get clarity on their thought, helps them realize the relationship for themselves. But the biggest thing on this thing, self-relationship, is self-acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
I accept the fact that I'm not perfect. I accept the fact that I'm human. Everybody knows this at a rational level, but we're so hard on ourselves. We say, oh, I made a mistake. I'm not good enough. That is self-talk that doesn't help anybody out in where they are today.
I think that we need to learn to cut ourselves a little bit of a break. My partner Monique, she's great at that. She told me, there was something that was really bothering me one day, and she goes, "You know what, Bob? You've got to learn to forgive yourself. And once you forgive yourself on that, you can move on." And just those simple words, just like forgive yourself, made a huge difference in the way that I felt about myself, the way that I felt about the problems that were, that were arisen from the self-doubt. Just the word forgiveness. Just learn to forgive yourself.
Yeah, I think that's huge. Our first podcast was on Easter Sunday, right? Yep. And heroes, that was a concept about forgiveness. That's why I tend to like that culture and that religion a lot. And so forgiveness, we were already forgiven for our, if you want to call them sins or mistakes or whatever. Mm-hmm. I think that is the hardest thing for people. We're going to talk about the 7 chakras, the 7 energy centers in the body, and how they spiritually align your mind, your body, and your soul. At some point, we're going to talk about the mind, body, soul, and the 7 chakras. The 4th chakra is the heart chakra. To me, the only way to open that, the love chakra, the compassionate chakra, is by forgiving ourselves, forgiving others, and then asking for forgiveness from those others that we have failed or we have hurt. So I think that forgiveness thing comes in. But if you really want to live an energetic, incredible, inspired life, you got to spend time in that heart chakra. You're going to have to spend a ton of time there with self-love and true self-love, not just this fake it till you make it kind of thing. And the only way to get true self-love is to say, okay, I accept my mistakes. I ask for forgiveness from others. I forgive others. And I forgive myself. That's a great, great point. And that living in that 4th heart chakra, that's a huge part of our mind as well as our intuition, and gets us closer to our destiny and our purpose. So yeah, we're going to talk more about that. We have a whole chapter dedicated to that in the book. So yeah.
Are you good at that? Are you good at forgiving?
Oh boy.
Did I open up a can?
I'm going to talk about a couple of scenarios. I'll talk about reality for me. I work in a professional business job. I had some situations that some people made comments about myself. Some people made uneducated assumptions about the projects we're working on. Some people let their egos get in the way. And the way it communicated to me was negative feedback. Now, there were some mistakes that I made, and I understood and took accountability for those. But every relationship is 50-50 or some balance of 70-30 at some level. It's never just a one-way person is wrong. And so I had these two executives and maybe a couple of menial level or, medium level workers that said things about me that I had negative energy around. And so I had to forgive them I have to work with them. I have to forgive them for not knowing, for them doing the best that they can. I had to put positive energy out there. Then I had to forgive myself for not being perfect and saying, I spent too much money on project A, money and time and energy on project A. I didn't spend enough time and energy on project B. And the project B came about and project A. So a lot of it was my responsibility. And I made mistakes at work in the last few months. And it was a perfect storm of certain scenarios. Whatever it is, I feel that I'm very good at my job. I believe I'm very good at my job. I've worked at very large corporations, but I still made mistakes. I owned up to them. So I forgave myself because I realized, you know what? I know the best way for me to move forward is by taking action on things that I need to improve on. I can't dwell in resentment. I can't dwell in low self-esteem or self-pity and things like that. So I wanted to focus on things that I want. I want a better relationship with these people. I had to forgive them immediately. I knew what I needed to get what I wanted out of the job is not just a paycheck, but a thriving career and ability to make a difference in the organization. So to do that, I had to forgive myself, I had to forgive others, and focus on really what do I want on the situation. I want to have thriving projects across the board. I'm actually going to work later on today on my work situation on a Sunday afternoon, but because I want certain things, I want to achieve certain goals within the organizations. But yeah, it's hard to forgive yourself. I went there recently and it paid off. My resting heart rate dropped compared to normal because I've been meditating, praying, writing, thinking about these things, and really living in a place where I want to live as a person that I want to be. I'm certainly not self-realized and self-actualized, but I'm slowly starting to get there. I behaved in a way that I wanted to behave like.
I think those are that's a good place to stop today. Focus, and accountability, and just some of the things that, we talked about today. Great stuff. Chakras, we'll talk more about them next time. We talk purpose, goals, and setting some of those things, and about forgiveness. I mean, it's funny that we ended up talking about forgiveness, and that's not even something that we started, that we even had written in our notes to talk about.
Yeah, I think what you really are getting at, what unlocks our true self and the true self, the self-worth, self-esteem, it starts with forgiving ourselves. And then you take that to the next level. You can really, truly forgive yourself for the mistakes that you made once you ask for forgiveness from others as well, at least at a spiritual level. You don't have to do it. You may hurt the relationship sometimes by going out to people that you've hurt or whatever, asking for forgiveness. You need to be able to forgive yourself, forgive others, and then wherever is appropriate, ask for forgiveness from others as well. It's really a healing process. And once you start to heal, that heart, that chakra energy starts to go out, starts to play in the realm of true desire, get alignment with your purpose, starts to get into your energy, your intuition, your connection between your mind, your body, and your soul. And the heart is really where it all starts. And I think that's where we're going to spend a lot of our energy in the future as well.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Fall, Rise, Give, where we explore stories of resilience, growth, and giving back. If you enjoyed today's episode, please check out our website at fallrisegive.com. Also, consider subscribing to our podcast on your favorite platform and leaving us a review. Your feedback helps us to continue to bring you inspiring stories. Stay tuned for our next episode. And remember, every fall is a chance to rise, and every rise is an opportunity to give. Until next time, keep falling, rising, and giving. This is Fall, Rise, Give, produced by podcastforhire.com. Thank you for listening.